something that I found really entertaining was when you're speaking Arabic with Lebanese people. I was like, this is like you definitely put an effort. That's something I noticed, that you put an effort in like speaking the language, and it's entertaining, and I think slightly motivating as well when it comes to how you say the words. Like you're really putting the enunciation properly, even though obviously there's still an accent, but
a big one.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
And
Anjed.
Sorry?
Anjed.
Anjed? Anjed?
what?
ايه عم يجرب يقول عنجد فهو when he says the Arabic words بتلاحظ اللهجة بعدها موجودة. It's still, the accent is still there, بس بيحط الأفور فيها. I طلع شوي من, it came out a bit French for me then. So something that I was curious about, like something I kept asking myself was like, so you've been here 4 times. You're American.
Okay.
Why? What are you doing here? How long are you staying? And why are you here? Why are you still here?
Yeah, I'm a CIA agent, and I'm secretly working for
the cops.
Yes, I'm secretly working for the Mossad as well at the same time.
What?
Okay. Very, very, very big joke. So I came here initially, all credit to Mac. Mac's actually my cousin. Mm-hmm. And it's so cool that there is a full circle thing where Mac was on your show, because I was just talking to Mac 2 days ago, and we were saying how funny my experience is similar to his initial experience out here. He's saying he's having a lot of deja vu watching the content that I'm putting out really, really take off. And so it has been really amazing to be here, and to be here on my 4th visit. And the whole initial reason why I came out here was because of Mac, because of my cousin. Mm-hmm. And so I came out here this 4th time initially to just be out here with Mac, because he wanted to be here to help move his fiance Mabel back to the U.S.
Yeah, so congrats.
Yeah, very, very. It was like a 4-year process, tons of time investment from both of them, and so it's pretty cool to have that culminate. Mm-hmm. But I came here initially to be back in Lebanon because I have a love for this place outside of the recent warm welcome that I've had, that I've just always had a very great experience being here. Mm-hmm. And then I've consistently delayed and canceled the flights that I were supposed to go back home on or go to my next destination. And the reason being is I started expressing myself even more with the content that I was producing here. I was starting to, I've always been a big writer, and here I've written a lot about my experience and how much I love being in Lebanon, the different places that I've visited, Amshit, Matron, Beirut. I have a bunch of other ones that I'm working on, and every time that I've written these things, then the response has been tremendous, and the Lebanese people have been so gracious with myself and the work that I've been putting out, and it's given me more and more excitement and courage to want to stay here further. Outside of all the other amazing cliche things that you hear, the food, the people, the beautiful architecture, the history of all of these cities, the history of Beirut, the ability that here you have, from my perspective, someone who's non-Arabic and doesn't speak the language, you have the actual ability for cultures and different religions to coexist. And so that's something that I find very, very unique and special. I mean, you have the grand mosque in the middle of Beirut, and then close to it you have a grand church. And so to have both of those things close to each other is remarkable and beautiful. So,
and there used to be a synagogue at some point.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah. And so the actual ability for there to be a mix of people and cultures is really cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So 4 times a year, to be honest, I think you're coming to Lebanon more than Lebanese people are coming.
I think so, yeah, because I've met a lot of people who have come back here for the first time ever. And it's been really cool to connect with the diaspora. A lot of them are coming up and sharing gratitude. You know, thank you so much for talking about our country this way. And that's been really cool as well. And for a lot of people, what I've understood is that this is the first time they're coming back in like 10 years. Yeah. Which is so interesting. And so it's crazy to think that they've spent so much time away. I understand the reasons, but the difficulty that must have of being so far away from your home for such a extended period of time is tremendous.
There's also like a certain energy that you get that you don't really find outside
Yeah.
Like I've lived in the Gulf and I've lived in the UK, but when I come back to Lebanon, I feel like it's like someone just slapped you to the face and you're like, come on, start doing something, no matter what it is. It's like you're just seeing friends, maybe even if you're working or like doing something with the family, it's like you feel there's more energy towards doing that thing. Like even now when we were setting this up, I felt like I was more energetic to getting the setup and even going to the other house to get the camera and stuff from my sister. And it's like you saw me running, came back and was like still sweating as well. And
so would you say that what you're describing is like the feeling of taking action when you're back in Lebanon? There's this urge to move and
there's definitely a more sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Like things have to happen now and quickly.
Where does that come from?
It's a very good question. I'm not sure. So something maybe that one of the factors I connected to this was that everything is pretty close. Like you don't have to travel too far to find what you need. Like, for example, if I want to go back to the UK or in Saudi Arabia, if I want to go get my groceries, I have to either take the car or some public transport, or there's a bit of walking. Here it's just like literally just under the house. You're there. You got your groceries. This is just like a small example. Now, but the thing is, obviously, there's also still like, even if someone tells you like, oh, let's go to the Janub, to the south, you're still willing to go.
Yeah.
Even though it's like a 1 hour and a half flight, 2 hour flight, drive.
Yeah. So
I'm not sure if it has to do with maybe the fact that when you actually want to do something here, there's also there's a source of entertainment as well. Like if you're driving to the south, you're driving along the coast, not driving along the beach. You have something to look at. Even if there's traffic, you can just at some point be like, take that deep breath, look to the right and be like, oh, wow, there's a part of nature there. It's just like.
How much does this sense of urgency derive from the instability and the uncertainty of tomorrow?
What the thing is about that is I'm not quite sure if it has to do with that. Maybe that's just like an inherent instinct. But when you're actually feeling that sense of urgency, you don't think about that. Like when I'm doing that action, when I'm motivated to just like get things done quickly, I'm not really thinking about the instability.
Look.
Maybe it's a type of coping mechanism. I'm not sure. It could be. But I mean, that's an interesting perspective to Adam. Like for you, when you're here, do you feel that sense of urgency as well? Or
yeah, I'd say like there's definitely a fast-paced way of making things happen. I think there's a lot of living for the moment that is much more present than other places. And then I'm not sure what it would be like in the winter season, but when I come back, when I've been here, it's always been in the summertime. So you have a mix of all of the people who are coming from abroad who haven't been here in months, sometimes even years, sometimes even a decade.
Yeah.
So all of that is coming back. There's such a emphasis on enjoying things here. And there's the welcoming of the Lebanese people who live in Lebanon. So grateful to have both foreigners like myself and then the extended and close family back. And so I said that there's an urgency to enjoy the moment. And from what I've understood is because this region is so unstable and then the limited understanding that I have of Lebanon's history is that tomorrow really is never promised. And so you kind of make the most of right now and you do it in a way that is to celebrate the people close to you. Food is such a special thing here in Lebanon that I've noticed and I'm so grateful for, because even before I came to Lebanon, Lebanese food was my favorite. Like hummus, every form of hummus that ever existed under the sun is incredible. And shish tawuk, tabbouleh, everything. So many different manouche. I didn't realize there was like a billion manouche combinations, but just the fact that there is this emphasis on really living for the moment is very unique to Lebanon. I think there are some drawbacks that come with living for the moment, not being so long-term focused on things.
Yeah.
But that kind of seems to be a symptom of the region and not necessarily the Lebanese people, because the Lebanese people who I've met outside of Lebanon, like consistently, are always incredibly successful. Mm-hmm. And I've talked about this a couple times before, where to be born in Lebanon on a country comparative basis seems to be that you have been born on hard mode. Whereas if you grow up here, and then if you go to Saudi like yourself, or if you go to the UK, or your co-host and go to the US, is that you know that there's so much uncertainty in the world, so you kind of go out and you ensure that stability is made, and you navigate in a world that doesn't have as many insane variables of potential wars on all fronts, or potential outside actors that are trying to take from you, or even internal challenge that goes on that could be adding more barriers to your success. So I actually don't know where I was going with that, but more so is just that the success of Lebanese people is really tremendous outside of the U.S. Outside of Lebanon and within Lebanon itself.
It's an interesting point that you mentioned about the short term and
long-term focus.
The short-term and long-term focus. I think the sense of urgency that we were discussing goes into the short-term focus, and it's taken with them when they go abroad.
Yeah.
So the thing with having long-term focus is it's good, but the thing is, even in a stable country, you don't actually know what's going to happen like 6 months time, one year time. It's good to have a goal, for sure. I mean, and the Lebanese people are definitely able to do that, especially the ones that go abroad. Like, that's them going abroad is them having long-term vision. But because we're so good at the short-term focus, it allows us to like kind of ignore the nonsense, I would say, that's happening around us, and just focus on what we're doing. There's definitely something about like organizing an attention span and focus that Lebanese people have that I've noticed. It's just like they're so able to narrow their vision on one thing and then be like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to get it done. And I really don't care about what anyone else says. That's what I've noticed in the ones that are successful.
Yeah.
So what's your perspective on that part?
Yeah. I'd say that
I'm just gonna relax a bit.
Yeah, of course. I think it's a very, very unique thing that exists here with Lebanon. And just the other thing, as you were saying that came to mind is, in Lebanon, more than other places, maybe similar to Latin America, is that there's a very, very strong emphasis on getting things done through relationships.
Yeah.
It might be something that is, about like these like the moment, how can we make something happen? Let's make a deal right now. And actually it's been really cool, I'd say, from the experience of someone who makes content, as someone who works with other people who make content, is that oftentimes when you are pitching a case for why you should charge something for content, many people don't understand the pricing, or they don't even understand what it means to get 100,000 views on something.
Yeah.
Whereas here in Lebanon, they just know the quickness of like, okay, hey, if I get a reel, or if I post a story that gets tens of thousands of views, like this is tangibly worth a good amount of value, and that can drive things in. So I don't know how much that connects with just relationship building, but just the fast moving, quick understanding of just, okay, content as a huge resource. And then the way that you do get things done is through a handshake, and knowing people is a really unique thing that I think Lebanon has more than other places.
Yeah. I mean, even when we were organizing this, it was just like, that, yeah, Sunday, let's go. I got my studio. You said you have your stuff. I'm like, okay, let's do it Sunday. To Beirut. It's like, we didn't have the full details of everything, but just like in the moment, got it done. And
exactly.
And something that from my personal experience, I've noticed that when it's done like that, it's done, it's better. I don't know why, I don't know how, but when you have the two sides are, just agreeing directly from the start, and they're going at a quick pace, and they're just, let's get this done. Then that's gonna have like proper quality.
Yeah.
when there's a side that's hesitant and stuff, you feel like, okay, have to, you have to motivate them, you have to give them some energy, and then it's like, come on, let's get this done. So it's a kind of a different dynamic, I would say. And I think that is one factor of like Lebanese people understand when they're dealing with the relationships.
Yeah.
Like they understand the dynamic. They understand, they're very good at dealing with people. That's something a lot of Lebanese people are very well. I think they just have like great understanding. Like they have a social awareness. They understand body language. They understand how to communicate properly and effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And this all probably just comes from like being businessmen. Like, like we have a history, of that trading and dealing with business. So it's like,
it's just the dawn of time.
Yeah. It's just
civilization.
Exactly. It's like at this point, it's like it's in our genetic code.
Yeah, it truly is. Yeah. Relationship building and just understanding how to make things happen. And I think what's nice as well for anyone who wants to become a high level negotiator, come and live in Lebanon for a couple months, truly, because when you pitch something to someone and people say that this doesn't work, like recently I've been doing different deals within here in Lebanon and just producing content and whatnot. And
CIA deal? Oh, no.
CIA under, arms deals, and the negotiation of it is fantastic in terms of like both sides want the thing to happen, and like there is an aim for people reaching the best deal for each side, but at the same time as both people are willing to compromise in order to make something happen so that the product gets finished, the video gets finished. And then again, I think there's just an understanding for the value of what it is that you bring forth, and Lebanon seems to understand that really, really well, at least the ones who I've worked with. And so what I do appreciate as well is that when you do build a relationship, when it comes with work, that sometimes it extends past that, and the people who I've negotiated with and built deals with here are getting closer to a friendship than I may have in other places. So it's really nice.
So that what you notice is like business deals aren't just pure business deals here. They're also like friendship.
I feel like I'd say yes, but they're kind of one and the same. Is that like, let's get to know each other, let's be friends, and like kind of broker that relationship in addition to making a deal happen. What I'd say is like there are great things to it, but there are, like in the US, where it's the complete opposite of that. You do need to have relationships, and you do need to be able to shake hands, as in any nation. But in the US, you at least can rely on systems that are in place that kind of look out for the person who doesn't have those connections.
True.
There is good or bad. Like right now, this is benefiting myself because I have weight in the content that I put out, which is a benefit, and so I'm going to leverage and use that, as anyone should.
Yeah, of course.
But say that I don't necessarily have that, and I have quality things that I'm able to, that I am consistently putting out, and maybe I don't have as much reach, then it doesn't necessarily favor that individual as much. So just maybe in a comparative thing is that a country that does have systems that does look out for the citizen is quite nice.
Yeah.
That being said, I fucking love Lebanon. Stay here. And I'd say it's like, it's a really cool thing, the way that people build relationships here.
Yeah, I think here, because of the lack of systems that are placed, because we don't have proper enforcement of the law or the systems that are supposed to be protecting the businessmen, so we do have to rely on like just trusting each other.
Yeah.
So that's
handshake and a head nod.
Exactly. Like traditional style. And because of that, when we have a good business deal with someone, we instantly just we're basically set for life. Like something that's about Lebanese people is they can be really loyal if they're treated right. If someone treats them well, you gain a friend and business partner or employee for life. That's
really cool.
It's just something that they're used to. Because we don't, like, if you give them stability, they're like, oh shit, you're good. And this is why they incorporate like the friendship thing with the business, because if the business deal goes well, that means there's trust there. And if there's trust there, then shit, I can be friends with this person.
Yeah. It's so fascinating. I studied international business when I was in university. And you talk about these concepts about how doing business in one country is different than the other. And you kind of know that that's a thing, but you don't really know what it means. Like you can read about it and then you can experience it. And there's a way different things. And so, you read about how in China, there's a very different way of doing it, or Japan is one of them where like you have to receive gifts or something, or like in Japan, I think it's like if you don't stop at accepting gifts, then they'll keep giving you more or something like that, or like keep giving you with food or whatever. And then with Lebanon, really to get in the Middle East, I maybe would generalize in terms of the way to get business done is really through brokering a relationship. And if you don't have that relationship in place, then you can't necessarily make things happen, is my assessment of it. And then to actually experience it and live it is really amazing. I mean, travel in general is one thing that should broaden the horizon of every single person's perspective, especially someone from the United States. Because it's very difficult for someone who has never left the United States to escape their US-centric mentality. Everything that we perceive, and I remember being this when I grew up, everything that we perceive is based entirely from the lens of the US. Whereas when you're born outside of there, you take the perspective of other people, because you're typically forced to speak in different languages. I mean, you grew up speaking what? French, English, Arabic anymore? Or like, I mean, already those three are freaking insane. Like, I mean, seriously, like Arabic, French, and English, all like as a kid growing up and speaking that is amazing. In the US, you don't have a need to learn another language. And so, you don't, and I'm not saying this as a dig on American people. It's, I'm obviously American and I love where I come from, but I'm saying this in the sense of, it would do you a great benefit for the overall impact of the world, and then even more so the impact of you being able to build a successful business by you traveling and broadening your horizon of just how other people perceive life in general. And then I would add another layer to that, is just if you can learn a language, then you can do even more in terms of perceiving, like, okay, a table in English is just, this single table, but when you learn in Spanish, this now is assigned a gender. I don't know how it is in Arabic, but like the way that you perceive things is different. And so if you want to get out of a problem, if you're stuck in somewhere and you it's hard for you to become objective, which is typically the way that you can find clarity and peace in life, then learning a language and understanding that you can perceive things in a different way is tremendously helpful for personal, business, and relationship growth.
I think it's being able to have different perspectives, which comes from like traveling, talking different languages, learning new cultures. Definitely is a plus, not only in like business, but also as well with like interacting with people. Like for me personally, meeting different, so even within Lebanese people, you'll find they have like that's
such a broad
they have a broad perspective on like, if they're open-minded, if they're closed-minded, religious, not religious.
Did they grow up in the mountains? Did they grow up on the coast? Did they grow up in the south? Did they grow up in the north? I mean,
exactly.
It's so vastly different within like a 220 kilometer length country.
And it's only 2 million people, man. Like there's 2.5 or something like that. I don't know what's the current census. But
for some reason, I thought it was 9 million in Lebanon.
In Lebanon?
No, it's only 2 million? Say it.
Lebanese. But if you want to include non-Lebanese,
like Syrian,
I remember last time I saw it was like 4.5. Maybe now it's a bit more. It's not really accurate.
So interesting. It's but to your point is that
within like a small space, there's so much that's happened.
So much,
which is like, I think that adds the different layers, and obviously there's the different sectarian layer as well, which kind of like adds to how people like interact. And like, I think maybe something that it does is like not only give you perception, but it also like creates this thing in your head where you have to think before you speak to someone, because maybe it's a bit maybe there's a bit of a certain type of fear, like a fear element or like an anxiety element of like, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing to this individual. But it also, I think it teaches you a bit of empathy there, because you understand like there's multiple groups within Lebanon, but we're still able to like coexist to a certain degree.
Yeah, help me understand that, because from the US, you can pretty much say whatever you want, and like as long as it's like in the sense of humor. Like I don't mean like actual like trying to cause harm.
Yeah,
but from what I understand is like if you make certain jokes, then those are off limits, and then the worst case scenario is that they could result in someone killing you, which is a pretty scary thing in my mind. And so
in the US, you mean, right? Or here?
I'd say in the Arab world, is like there's certain things that you can't joke with, and like both like with religion, and I'd say with both religions, I'd say like both dominant religions, Christianity and Islam.
So I would compare it to, because you guys do have it in the US. It's just like a different element. I think it's more of a racial.
It is, yeah.
So like if you make a mistake with like different races, then you could also get killed there.
Yeah.
Obviously, depending on where you are, who you're talking to. If this is an area where they, don't like the language that you're, like what words you're using, you can get beaten up there.
Yeah, or killed too. You're right. Yeah, there is an aggression.
It's just like a different,
it's a different dynamic.
Yeah, different element to it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like here, it's okay. Maybe it has to do with the religion. Over there, it's race.
Do you think that it has anything to do with someone's socioeconomic level or education level that results in them thinking of I heard X, so I will take action, and no one will say that thing again?
As in, like, the way they think?
Yeah. Like, does
those are definitely factors that play in.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, because if your socioeconomic level is maybe lower, then maybe your education would be not as advanced. But it's not, I wouldn't say it's a direct correlation, because you have people that do have a sense of empathy that are in a low socioeconomic background. They're just stuck in a bad environment. But them as individuals, they're capable of empathizing and understanding.
Even more than people who are, I think there's a study that was done that was like, if there is people who have less money, people who are poor for the wrong word or whatever, but people who are poor often donate more on a percentage basis than people who are wealthy.
Yeah, 100%. They're more willing to give.
Yeah.
Because I think they understand more. They can relate more to the concept of like,
it's like to be there.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I am there as well,
Yeah.
So I want to help you out
and give.
So I think what the point where you're trying to say is like, it might affect this. Maybe it increases the probability but I don't think it's a direct correlation. I think it's more of like, because you are less empathetic, then you are more likely to be in that situation because you're not doing so well, on a social because like if you want to work for a company or you want to have a business, for it to succeed, you have to have proper like social interactions. You have to be able to empathize, understand people, teamwork. If you don't have, if you don't have those skills, then you are most probably going to be in a low socioeconomic.
Yeah.
I think it's more like it's maybe reverse.
Yeah.
Feeling like, I don't think the socioeconomic affects that. I think the low empathy affects the socioeconomic.
Yeah, that makes sense. If the individual has low empathy, then that might keep them in a status of lack of success rather than.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So it's individuals who may not have a stronger level of empathy. And the reason why I ask these questions is to find an answer, like whatever the answer is the point is for it to be a path towards better understanding of people who might be in like a different position or whatever, for better resolution. And one of the I'm curious if you've experienced this as well, but one of the strangest things that exists when you are forward-facing, and especially if you have like a long-term type of content that you put out, is that you think that nuance exists. So you think that if you ask a question that might be a difficult one to answer, that this is what the audience would want to hear, or that like if people understand, like, okay, that person is asking it for the purpose of trying to understand, for trying to understand, to discover an answer that could bring about better things. And I'll say the reason why I'm saying this is that when I went to Papua New Guinea, I sat with a tribal leader, and one of the most hot topic things that exists there is bride price, which is essentially
bride price.
Okay, where the family, it's like dowry, where a family of the husband will pay the family of the bride for the daughter's hand in marriage. And so
it exists in that world.
It exists. It existed in America too. It, probably less than 50 years ago. I'm just saying that number. I don't know exactly when it was, but it existed in the U.S. And my question to him was, do you think that bride price still exists, or still has a place to exist in modern society? Modern society is a broad question, but more so the response that I got back to it was, you're a racist, you're a colonizer, how dare you come to Papua New Guinea? And essentially this was a minority, but a very loud minority that was shouting this and just saying essentially like, this is, how dare you? Which was so confusing, because it's like, I thought this is what you guys would want, is like an opportunity for this person to share their opinion. Like, this is like my job, and your job as an interviewer is to find the most difficult question for that person to answer, and then ask them that so that they can show their side.
So, key term there, minority. That meant we're upset about it. So, you always have to take into consideration when you're going to be asking these kind of questions in like different environments than what you are from. That they might perceive you as hostile, which is normal. I mean, that's just a hazard of occupation. Occupation hazard.
But it's only, whenever you do this, it's only like the people online. If you go to that place and if you sit with someone and you talk to them, it's crazy, because the minority of that is only people who are online and are just fucking mad at their life. Like, that's truly what it is. They like see someone else, and people forget that everything that is out there is a reflection of you. Like, your understanding of a place or a thing, your understanding of someone is more of a reflection of your own character, if you perceive it both, positive or negative. And so if someone sees you and throws tomatoes at you because you're X, Y, or Z, fuck them in one sense. Fuck them in one sense, because the underlying thing is that this is something that they perceive in themselves, they haven't really handled yet. And then when you go to these places like Papua New Guinea, and you do have a conversation with someone who is on the other side of an argument from you, and then you sit with them and you look them in the eye, then it completely levels the point of like, we are two people trying to figure out how to navigate this world, rather than two usernames that have the most triggering point of an opinion or of a topic that just gets you so fucking angry. And it's a wild thing. But I'm curious if you've experienced, have you ever navigated controversy in this, or have you not had to, like, has that exploded? This only happened once with Papua New Guinea for me, and also recently with putting out my Lebanese speaking content. Some people will say, like, you're a fucking idiot, go back to America.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but that's also like 2 comments, but you see it.
I think so. Something that I like that where people say is, if there's hate, then you're probably doing the right thing.
Truly, haters. Always be grateful for the haters.
Exactly. It's like, it's a sign. It's like, oh shit, I'm doing well. So we've definitely had like those kind of comments on YouTube. Like, you get different comments about, because like we once talked to this guy who's he's, I think, American Palestinian. I forgot his name, but he definitely had a controversial background. So he's Muslim, but he's gay, and he studied, the religion, and he still operates as a Muslim.
Sounds like a very fascinating individual.
Exactly.
Really cool. Yeah.
And when we were having the conversation with him, like, he was talking like about hadith and also elements of the Quran. So some of the comments that were there were just like, to be honest, some of them were actually just like commenting in a mocking way, but like as a joke, not in a
not an actual, yeah.
And then there was like maybe one or two comments asking, it's like, where the hell are you getting your stuff from? Like, where you're, like, how are you operating as a Muslim when you're kind of a contradiction to what Islam is, being obviously gay and having a different background than what a typical Muslim would be. So you definitely get those kind of controversies. Me personally, I don't really enjoy reading I don't look at the comments. I skim through them. If anything, I think the main thing I look at is like the number of engagement. That allows me to perceive it as like people are engaging. Instead of actually reading the comments, I'm like, people are engaging in a hateful manner, So I separate that by just looking at the level of engagement instead of looking at what the engagement is.
Yeah. Another freaking interesting thing as well is the comments themselves, like, even if they're harsh, also little mini challenges that you as a person are meant to overcome as creators who are public facing.
Yeah.
And that controversy or pushback or whatever will likely come as you choose this world. I mean, we're literally deciding to step into the proverbial arena and have judgment thrown at us. And so that is going to inevitably come with people who disagree with you. And for anyone who does aspire to get into this world, is you truly cannot make everyone happy. And so you may as well just start to make yourself happy with the content that you want to produce.
Yeah. That's something that you should apply in life in general. Just like, keep in mind that you can't be a people pleaser. You're gonna get someone upset, and it's your role in that position when you're placed in a position where someone is angry from you, but you know that your right is to fight back. Like, I've definitely had instances where I fought back against someone angry at me, and I've also had instances where I didn't. But that's because there's definitely factors that play into it. I'll give a personal situation where I didn't fight back. There was this one instance at work when I was in the UK, and I made a mistake at work. I won't go into the details in it. It was like a really simple mistake. And the founder of the company, because it was a small business, so we were working with the partners as well and the founder, he got upset and then he started yelling.
Yeah.
Now, for me in that position as an employee, and also I think this being as a Lebanese, like an Arab, we are taught to respect our elders and not fight back against it. So I kind of like took that, and then after he was done, I just walked away and I continued my work. But I sat by myself to like process what happened, and I was like working by myself. They tried to he came back, and then another employee, like one of my colleagues also came, try to like comfort me and stuff. I didn't really care. I just wanted to continue with the work and like kind of like channel my emotions through that move. So that's one instance where I didn't stand up for myself. There was
what ended up happening after that.
Just continued.
But do you think that was the right thing to do?
No, it was terrible, definitely, because there were other instances where we didn't agree on, and I think those festered into having a negative relationship with him.
Builds resentment.
Yes.
And how did you ever resolve that, or how did you navigate that?
Not properly, I would say. Yeah. I think in the end, what ended up happening was probably for the best, was me leaving, and I won't go into the details of how it just happened, where I had to leave the UK, and we didn't continue working together.
Resentment can kill everything.
Yeah,
and if there's unexpressed whatever dissatisfaction or anger or frustration or whatever, then this ends up driving relationships into the ground, business, love-wise, whatever. Resentment that is unexpressed, or anger that is unexpressed, or not speaking up for yourself is is one of the worst things that can be done for an individual.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And like I think even though that did happen over there, that yes, there wasn't proper expression of emotion, but this was kind of like the environment there. So something that the positive side that I do take from that is that I guess maybe it wasn't a place for me. And another positive thing is that I was actually able to come back to my family and spend more time with them.
Yeah.
Like the element of me not living with my dad since I was the age of 12. Like he had to, we had to live here and he had to live in the Gulf, and I would see him maybe like once a year. This definitely took a toll on him as an individual. It's like my personality, how it was.
Do you think there ever are like genuinely bad experiences? It's like an experience is bad, but most of what ends up happening, which is what I would agree to do, which is what you did, is you found the silver lining in it, and then now you have gratitude for it happening. You're back in Lebanon, you're close to your dad and everything. And that tends to be what folks always do, myself included, is this experience has happened and I'm going to turn it into something good.
Yeah.
Which I think is the right thing to do. But I'm just curious, like on a perspective, like is there any experience that just like remains bad, or does it ultimately turn into something good? And we could take it to this extreme as like my parents were murdered by someone and I had to forgive them, or my sister, God forbid, was assaulted by someone and then I had to forgive them, or something along those natures, or along that nature, and then that ends up being like a thing that then turns into an overall positive. But
so what do you mean by the bad? That's what I'm trying to understand. Because like you definitely, yes, there's a like for you to be able to move on, you have to turn it into good. Like
Right.
what happened, you have to turn it into good. But what do you mean by there's a bad part of it?
I guess, yeah. Does a situation ever like say, oh man, that was terrible, but then
And then what happened?
yeah, as in what happened, or is it like, oh, but actually, it turned into this, so it's actually good.
So, yeah, I mean, I think when you sit down with your thoughts and you actually process what happened, especially once you get away from it, because like staying in that environment where it's bad for you,
Yeah.
you're just going to constantly be there. You're not going to be able to properly process what's happening there. Like, for example, when I was working in that company, I did many instances say, like, think to myself, I do want to leave, and this is not for me. And also, I think the country definitely played a factor. Like, maybe this was just not the place for me to be in, like, country-wise.
Yeah, that place sucks.
But I mean, it's ranked as the second most miserable country in the world.
Yeah.
And it's a first world country. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But, I mean, there was a goal. There was a goal for it. And there was a reason why I wanted to go. Maybe that's not meant to be, but I'll take that.
Was the buildup of the resentment bad, or was that good?
What do you mean?
Was you stealing the resentment and not expressing yourself to your boss a good thing or a bad thing? Like, did it ultimately...
Maybe long-term, good thing. Short-term, bad, I would say. Because, like, it definitely played a toll on me. Like, and who knows, maybe if I did express myself better, it would have ended up the same way.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, but have you seen that?
True. Yeah, very true. Yeah. Because I don't know if there's much, like, merit, I guess, to dissect it. I just think it's always interesting that we turn things into good. And again, I'm saying it from perspective of, like, I always fucking do that, as you should, is like, thank God that this happened. Thank God that, when I was in high school, my dog got run over.
Sorry.
And no, but it's like, ultimately, holy cow, like, this gave me such appreciation for life.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, ultimately I see that as a good thing. But I guess situations can be bad, and like, you can be okay with just labeling them as shit and say, yeah, it fucking sucked, but we're still moving. We're still going forward.
Oh, yeah. I think definitely, like failure definitely gives you a better appreciation of what you have.
Yeah.
And like you enjoy it more. Because like I do see people, and definitely on the podcast we've talked to a lot of people who they don't start enjoying their life until like in their late 50s or 60s.
Wow.
But when you look at their career wise, they've had success. It's like shit, is that what?
Is that the way that you got to do it?
Yeah, I mean, like, is that how I want to live my life? I don't see it as something that as a must-have.
Well, dude, there's a belief that work has to be shitty and that work has to be hard, but that's not true. Like, if you think of any artist, any musician, any person who makes content, you could even bunch it into there, or like anyone who is at the peak of their career, a surgeon, a surfer, a woodworker, a plumber, like all of them share something in common when they're like really, really deep in their craft. It's entering into the flow state. And then if you ask anyone about like where do you feel most at peace? They're going to say when I'm sitting in the flow state. And so like we grew up with the belief that your job has to suck and you have to suffer in order to become successful, which is the furthest thing from the truth. But that in itself is a limiting belief that you have to overcome. And like the way that you can overcome it is by getting into the state of joy and creation and gratitude. Like if you literally just express, this is why like a huge point of the content that I push out is about writing. And that every time that you go into the pages of writing, that you can dump whatever it is, if it's negative or positive. But it always comes back to a state of like, you know what, actually, like even when I express all these things, if my life is going, poor in some circumstances, I have, the two eyes that I get to see things with. I've got the two legs that can give you to walk around. If you don't have that, then you have the lungs that you can breathe, so on and so forth. And so it brings you to the state of gratitude. And then from gratitude comes creativity. And this is where goodness comes in. It doesn't necessarily have to be from like art or from speaking or from surfing or whatever that like athletic performance type thing is. It could be anything from writing. It could be anything from doing business, whatever that is, but it's all like a flow state that everyone can be in.
I wanted to go to the topic of journaling because like a lot of people obviously talk about it and like the positive effect of it. And I've tried personally journaling myself. To be honest, I couldn't get into the habit of it, but I had enough awareness to notice why. I think so. I do enjoy writing. Definitely. Like I've tried my hand at poetry. I've tried my hand at just like writing in general, jokes as well. Bit of like a wide variety of stuff. But when it comes to like processing thoughts, something that me personally, I think is underrated is verbally saying them out loud, even if it's to someone or to yourself. Obviously, like it's better to do it with a therapist because like they're better at like navigating that. But if you have maybe a friend or a relative that you trust in them to like kind of just let you share your thoughts
and then ask a question to make you dig deeper.
Yes, exactly. Instead of just like commenting on what you're saying, then you can do that without like, you don't have to journal. I'm not saying don't. I'm saying like there is also alternatives. Because like maybe some people would have a perception about, if you don't journal, then you're not emotionally mature. So that, but like, I mean, no, we're just like every person has their own preference.
I'd say it's just a tool, and like there's multiple different tools that you can use to be able to improve yourself as a human. It's a very low cost type of thing, and so if you don't have a friend that plays that role, then you can do it for yourself. There's a thing called the Socratic method, which is ultimately if you want to understand something or if you want someone else to learn something, is you don't teach them outright by saying, hey, this is how you do it. You ask them a question that might be like one of my favorite things to ask someone if they're navigating a breakup and they come to me and they say, Robert, what would you do if you're in this situation? I don't respond with what I would do. I respond with the question, if you were your mom and your daughter came to you with that same question, how would you advise her? It forces them to become objective. They put themselves. Could you repeat that, please? If your son, so if you came to me and you said, I'm going through a breakup, I'm having a really hard time. How should I navigate these next couple weeks? And then if I were to just tell you the information, it would go through one ear and go out the other, because you're in such a state of just kind of, I'm so like hyper focused on this, and now I can't become objective with your situation. But you as the other person in that discussion can play the role of the reflection that causes you to then look at the mirror so that you can help navigate yourself out of it, because that's ultimately how it is that you can get out of this state of frustration or stress or in this relationship. And a question that I really like to ask is, if your son came to you with the same question, how is it that you would guide him out of this?
That's true. Because like you're teaching them to think from a mentor side kind of aspect, and then be a self-mentor.
Yeah.
Because the advice that you would give your son is probably the advice you can give yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And then so say that we go through this line of questioning, and I ask you, and then you think about it, and then you give a response, and then my response to that would then need to be a question again as well. So it's not like, okay, cool, yeah, so that's interesting, this is actually what I would do. It's not the way that you should play the role of helping a person get out of a situation. Mm-hmm. You can respond with another question to say, well, that's pretty interesting. What do you think of that advice that you just gave yourself? And then they respond with, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Like, I would take it and be like, okay, well, what do you think is stopping you from taking that advice right now? Yeah. And then they start to navigate and do this. And like, the best teachers in the world are the ones who do not, who are not the ones who have the student believe that the teacher taught them the thing. The best teachers in the world are the ones that ask the right questions so that the person believes that the information, and this is truly what happened, is something that they were able to pull with themselves. And it takes someone who doesn't want to place themselves entirely in front of that person to say like, okay, my credit for you becoming this more educated, more enlightened or more wise person is entirely because of me. Yes, you should remove yourself from that and then allow that person to go on their own journey. It's self-actualization by asking questions directed towards them finding their own path of growth.
So from what I understood, that is like the best teachers are the ones who don't give you the answers, but they help you find your own way to answer that question itself.
Yeah. So anytime you ask me something, I would respond with a question. But it has to be very, very pointed. I'm 100% listening to you, and I'm here. Mm-hmm. And the question that I'm asking is based off of what you just said, and it's meant to further engage you.
The issue with that is that a lot of people get annoyed by that. Like if they ask you a question, then you respond with a question, they'll get annoyed by saying like, why are you responding to me with a question? Why don't you just answer it? You know?
And what do you think you would say to that?
To that person? To that person? What did I say? I don't know, to be honest. I've had that issue before, and usually my response is just silence. And the reason why is something that I've learned about silence is that if you give the person silence, you give them the time to think, and if they do use it, then I think they are, I would say they're indirectly becoming smarter, because they're taking the time to actually use their brain instead of just acting on instinct all the time. And
what happens if they don't use the silence and they keep saying, I'm annoyed by you? What would you do?
I don't think I've had that instance, but if it's a hypothetical, I would say if they're constantly, I would probably lay it out for them. I would say, look, I would tell them why I'm what I'm doing and why am I doing it.
Do you think that would work towards them understanding the method, or would that?
In my experience, it has, because like giving people space and time definitely works out, because they need time to process their emotions. Some people might take more time than others. Like I've had encounters where, or maybe it's not necessarily like they take more time, but maybe they don't have the experience or the skill set. Like they haven't been taught the skill set to properly process. Yeah. So I've had an encounter with an individual where we had like a mistake while I was driving. We were in the car, and there was a bit of a small mini argument, I would say. It's not something catastrophic, but they got upset, and when they're upset, they do is they do a silent treatment. So my reaction to a silent treatment is to mirror it. Something that I do a lot, which hasn't worked for me, is mirroring the energy of that individual to a certain degree. Because like if you mirror also like hostility, you want to be careful with that. You want to do it in a joking way so that they can kind of break down. But for this instance, I mirrored the silence. I mean the silence.
Silent treatment, yeah.
And then after 2 days, they broke the silence, and they started like, and it's very people are very visible with their emotions. Yeah, you directly can notice if someone's anxious or nervous or angry. People can't hide it. And when they broke the silence, we had a conversation where I said, the reason why I did not interact with you about this argument was because I knew you would be angry.
Yeah.
And if I had talked to you about it, then we would have an angry interaction. It wouldn't have been like a effective conversation at all. You'd just be angry and make it worse. So the break kind of like helped us. And they said, that's true. It's explaining why you're doing your action and like giving a proper, giving like an end result to it. And then them also experiencing the end result helps. It's like an added value. And then it just confirms more of like what you did was actually the right thing. It's kind of like when you're presenting someone to like a business presentation, you're doing a presentation about your business to someone. Yeah, your company. Like if you do provide a service, you have to do a presentation like why we do this, how we do it, and what's the end result. Obviously, you show the end result maybe by showing like other reviews or like how people benefited from this. And then when they experience it, show the end result.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of like a very logical, methodical approach to it. But I think having that structure, even if it's an emotional aspect, having that structure definitely allows you to understand more. And once you get the hang of it, it becomes much quicker. Like I remember I'm sorry if I'm giving too many examples, but just this one I want to add is, I remember there's this one moment where I had an argument with my sister, and this was like when I was 16 or 15, and I got angry with her, and within like a split second, I just realized, I'm like, why am I angry? I directly asked my question in my head, and was like, why am I angry? And I instantly forgave her, but I just turned around and I was like, yeah, that's fine. But when you have that, I think it makes it much easier for you in life as well to interact with people and like understand it. Why are they angry? Why are they upset? Lebanon is like, and like obviously I'm bringing this all back to Lebanon because this is like the breeding ground, because you're constantly faced with these kind of interactions where you have to think for others. Like even in the simplest situation where you're driving, you have to predict or think how the other person is going to drive, because you don't know what the fuck's going to happen. We don't have a proper system for driving here. It's all over the place. The lights barely work. People don't follow the rules. The left lane is the right lane. And
it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. If someone comes from abroad, they're like, what the fuck is going on? So you, as a person, so that to avoid these mistakes, you have to like predict what the fuck is this individual in front of me driving? What are they doing? Are they going to turn left? Are they going to turn right? You also have to expect the unexpected, where if this guy is on the furthest lane on the left and there's there's an exit on the right within like a minute, he might just out of nowhere just cross in front of you and just take the far right, and you have to react to that.
Yeah.
So it teaches you also reaction time, and reaction time is also an important aspect. So
to not react, is a big thing as well. Is that then, especially in a heated conversation, I think that default is that when someone says something aggressive is to come in immediately after. But there's a really awesome quote from a guy who I would love to interview. His name is George Mumford, and he wrote a book called The Mindful Athlete, I think. And in it, he says that there's always space between stimulus and response.
Yeah.
And then he compares it to a hurricane, and a hurricane has an eye in it. And so even in the most turbulent and insane storm that exists, there is a moment to react. You're in the middle of it and you're in the eye, but you have a moment to pause and breathe. And so if you are ever in a state where you are getting stimulated from aggression, anger, fury, then you can take a moment through breath or through just asking yourself a question to invite curiosity in. And that's what helps transform things.
Yeah. And to add to that point is like, there's always that opportunity. It's just finding it a little bit. So I kind of wanted to ask you a question about these, like, reaction time and like, so where your time here in Lebanon, have you experienced something negative, like where you had to like quickly react to it and stuff? Because like, yes, we're trying to have a positive episode and stuff, but we also want to be realistic. There are times where you're gonna have a negative result, and also for the people who are watching, like, if you're gonna take this one negative aspect and blame it all on Lebanon, fuck you. Anyway, so
negative thing in Lebanon. Man, I've thought about that a lot over the coming days, and what I'd say is that more in my experience is that each day has just been compounding with goodness. Literally, like each day is like, okay, the reception of me being here is quite fantastic. The work that I'm putting a lot of attention behind is getting received very well. The opportunities, the creative opportunities are coming up. I'm able to sit with you. And so the negative things that I think that may exist are just probably the inconveniences that are very frustrating. So traffic is a really, really big downside. I'd say that how long it takes for things to get done here, just general things of like going from one place to the other, is quite frustrating. And then just the inefficiency of doing certain things is real and very, very different from the US. I mean, there is an urgency to get things done immediately, but you still, because of how many uncertain things that exist, you could be delayed for like 30, 45 minutes, or it's like, oh shit, there's traffic between here and Junior, and it's another hour just to get up north, and it's like, wow, really, it would be, if there was a different way, or if there was actual better public transportation, then you could get there within a split second. And so I say that the negative things are just the frustration around the amount of waiting time that exists here is pretty infuriating. I'd have to say, like, the Lebanon could be so much more successful if there was better public transportation, if there was high-speed internet, if there was a better ease to getting things like data or getting cell phone coverage. And so I understand that there's a lot of complexity behind all of those things. But when you come from a place where literally anything could come to you at a step, it's very, very, very easy. But again, is that there's pros and cons with this, is that the challenge between navigating those things means that you are growing up on hard level, like as a Lebanese person. And so when if you leave Lebanon and if you go somewhere else, then you can navigate the world, and you can navigate this in a very, very easy way. It's like, oh, what do you mean I can have the fastest internet in the world at a cafe down the street, at like any cafe that I go to? That's insane. I'd say that those are the negative things. But it's me really trying to find something negative about Lebanon. Outside of that is that my experience has been overwhelmingly positive from every single person that I've met. It's actually become so overwhelmingly positive and giving that it's become frustrating. I did this video where I hitchhiked from Batroun to Beirut to find the greatest shawarma, and went to 3 different places: Pastel Momano, Restaurant Joseph, and what was the first one? Or the last one? Pastel Momano, Restaurant Shawarma, and Bar. All so delicious. My God, like the art of the shawarma in this country is.
What's the ranking in top of these 3?
I'd say, and I'm going to borrow from my friend Simone, who actually gave me this, and I completely agree with him. Restaurant Joseph for Jej.
Yeah.
Mono for the uniqueness and the suju.
Yeah.
Holy goodness.
The sujuk.
It's insane, bro. It is so good. So the sujuk is amazing. And then bada for the lamb, I believe is what it is. Lamb with pomegranate sauce on it. Yeah, I've had it twice. So I'd say that each of those places have their own unique thing. And there's another one that I need to go to in, there's the roundabout. How do you say circle roundabout in the what Arabic? How do you say it?
The what?
Yeah. And is that the name of there's a restaurant there that I need to visit. Walmart or something. Dwellars. I don't know. But there's another one I need to go to that is like a staple in Lebanon. But in any case, on that trip, when I was hitchhiking, there was many people that picked me up and were gracious with letting me ride with them. Amazing people. Peter and then another gentleman who I can't remember his name, the first guy who picked my cousin and I up. But as I was taking the public transportation, the bus drivers saw that I was a foreigner. I don't know how, because I clearly looked like I'm freaking Arabic.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But every time that I went to go and pay, they would refuse and just say, man, no, like in the very, 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 very limited English. And by them literally only being able to say no, they would say, no, it's okay. And hand on the heart, and they would ask me to step off. So I was frustrated. I was like, guys, like, let me pay the fucking $1 to be able to, go on your bus. But instead they were just so gracious and asked me to for the rest of my day. But it's like truly like the amount of generosity and hospitality and warmth that exists within Lebanon, which I'd say is like a really, really positive example of what I've experienced in the rest of the Arab world. I know that it's a very broad region, and to say that, one is like the other, but the general theme of the Arab world is so misrepresented, especially from where I come from in the United States, that it's like these people who want to kill you and cause you tremendous harm. It's just the polar opposite of that. It just isn't real. It's not true. Is that when you go into an Arab world, or you go into a country, and I'm just going to use Lebanon because this is where we are, and you get treated with such warmth and hospitality, nothing like you've ever experienced, especially somewhere like the U.S. Like the South, where I come from in the U.S., is somewhat similar, but nothing compared to the level of openness of people saying, please come in, have a meal with me, get to know my family. If you need a place to stay, you can stay with me. I mean, like I have a friend of mine, Explore Rob. I met him, and within 6 hours, he was like, dude, if you ever need to stay at my place. And I ended up staying there with him. He invited me to stay with him. And so there's just like, you'd have to ask me to dig to find negative things about Lebanon, which I can, but the overwhelming scale holds towards the positive.
Yeah.
There's
that the thing that you mentioned in the beginning was like the microaggressions.
Yes.
It's not something that's really big that stands out, but it's a buildup of things.
It's a buildup, exactly. It's like a culmination of these things. It's like, all right, this is a subtle inconvenience that makes it so the entire day kind of loses time, and fuck that.
Yeah.
Like losing efficiency and losing time over something is it's you hear this all the time, but it is the most precious asset that we have.
100%. But something that there was a point that I want to say about.
So there's the microaggressions of things adding up, inconveniences.
Yeah, I wanted to add to a point about microaggressions. I completely forgot. I think it's definitely a frustrating thing to have. But one thing that we do maybe to cope with that is just like, once we get back home, kind of let your frustration out there.
Yeah.
Fuck. Like you always have these like mini interactions where,
yeah, you did.
You definitely say it better.
I don't know about that. But still learning.
And like I think maybe that's why we're very expressive people. It's just because like if we don't express ourselves, if it stays in, it's like it's just gonna get locked in. So we have like microaggressions, but we have also micro expressions. It's like
it's a very different thing from the U.S. I'll say. Like it's in it meaning this way of experiencing the world, and this way because communication, it's like 70% is body language, 5% is the tone of your voice, and then 5% is the actual words. It's an insane breakdown. And so in the U.S., we typically don't let rage out as much. Whereas like Latin countries, so I used to work in tech, and I managed a Spanish girl and an Italian or Spanish woman and a Italian woman in like, and it's very similar with the Arabic world. And I'm glad that I had this experience and I'm fluent in Spanish to understand this. But like when you like the weight that a lot of people come into a conversation, it can be very, very heavy and negative. And it's like, yes, you just experienced this, but I should not be the carrier of the daggers of like frustration that you have. And it's like, oh, but like, I'm just saying this to, for you to understand where I'm coming from. I was like, yes, but understand that the tone behind your voice is what is like jabbing into someone. And like, I'd argue that yes, it's a way of expression, but there are better ways to go and do it. Like if you think of, like, if you were to describe the personality and the desired traits of a world-class leader, how would you describe their way of communication? Like, would it be like, would they lose their cool with aggression or anger?
I think that it really depends, situation, definitely. When it comes to, maybe we can use an example to kind of like process to give a better answer, because there's so many different variables of how a leader would want to interact and respond to aggression. So if you could paint me like a picture, and like,
so say that like you're coming at the home at the end of the day and you have a frustrating day at work.
Yeah.
And then what would be a proper way of handling this as an individual? Would it be like, I'm angry, and I'm upset with my day at work, then how would I speak about it with my family?
So something I enjoy doing with myself is not yelling and not necessarily saying anything to someone.
Yeah. But would you, but in the example of like, if you're coming home and you're sitting at the dinner table,
yeah,
how would you speak about your negative day?
So in general, I think in my family, we do talk. So we talk, like we ask each other about our day. Yeah. So, and if it's shit, then people will listen.
Yeah. But the emotion behind it is what I'm aiming at, is like, would you allow the emotion?
If say it in an aggressive way, you mean?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. So something that I do that allows me to remove some of that aggression is like, let's say I walk into the house.
Yeah.
If I feel like swearing, I'll swear, but in a low tone.
Yeah.
It's like I'm dropping them out one by one. It's like slowly removing the aggression, just like, it's like one by one, get them out. And then you feel like, okay, it's like you're slowly deflating.
Yeah, and you should express. I think the argument that I put forth is that you should not express towards the people that love you. Like meaning, and I express as in, you should not express the negativity and the anger and the rage that you have towards the people that you love, because it's not like their burden to hold that, and then it's not their responsibility to take care of that. It is your responsibility as an individual to process it like you do. Like there are moments for rage. It's like if you are in a place where your family is in threat and someone's trying to arm them physically, then rage is useful, and you should use rage and anger. And like, or I recently got into boxing when I was in Bali a few months ago, and I never had a pure outlet to express violence and rage. And like when you have an outlet that is appropriate, you go into the rest of your life feeling completely calm and like, okay, I have an area where I can express this, but you should never express that. I feel like that you never, as in like, I feel like this is an axiom, this is a truth, is that you should never express something that is causing harm to someone that you love unnecessarily. Like it's, you
keep it out of the house.
Keep it out of the house. Like but you can still, that's a good way of saying it. You can still share, like, I had a really shit, I had a bad day, but you know what?
So talking about it instead of like projecting it.
Yeah, like a lot of people will like have like a weight with them that they just drop and dump on someone, and it's like, dude, I don't want to be the one to carry that. Yeah, you would need to deal with that. You should deal with that, but then some people are better at navigating it than others, which is how you as that person can play the role of asking a question.
Yeah,
it's
a tough one, definitely. Like when it comes to emotions, because like I think a lot of people, what they do is they look at their partners or family members as their therapist. Like, especially,
Fuck no, that's not how. Like it's
it shouldn't.
yeah. Continue your thought.
Thought is like, this is maybe more common in the Arab world because we're definitely Lebanese people love to talk about.
Yeah, and Latin America too. I'd say it's a very similar thing. Latin, like Italy, Spain, Portugal, and then Latin America.
Yeah, exactly. And
I say this with like deeper love for these countries than like I'm fluent in Spanish. I would love to become fluent in Arabic. Planning to live my life here in in Lebanon. And so, like, I know some people might hear that and say like, "Oh, who the fuck are you to question it?" And it's like, I fucking love this place. Like, there's a lot to question with America as well.
You know, I feel like some of those people that would be, you know, hating on your decision are diaspora.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's choosing to come here, and you guys are abroad.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If he found a way to make it work, you guys can make it work.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's definitely more.
Wallah.
Huh?
Wallah.
Wallah is more like it's like you're swearing, like not in an insulting way. No, swearing as in like I swear to God.
I swear to God. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Wallah, no. Wallah, this thing is gonna happen. Wallah, هيدا حيصير.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have to write that one down for me so I can
Yeah.
say it. Yeah.
Or actually, it also can be used in the tense as in like really, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to use it as.
Okay. Yeah. So, what was the point I was saying?
I think we were discussing how some people will arrive at the table with
weight.
Yeah, exactly.
And they use their partners and family as like
therapists.
Yeah. So here in Lebanon, it's because like I think they're still not used to like the therapy system. The new generation is. They're still getting to it. Like me personally, I have, and my sisters as well. But if we bring up the idea to my parents, it's like they're constantly
express yourself. Yeah, what do you mean express yourself to like someone else? What are you fucking talking about?
I'm the yik, I have you. You know, it's like, or like my sister studied psychology. She's like, she is the therapist of the family. I'm like, what the fuck? Nothing. Don't do that. Bro. It's a conflict of interest.
I think that's where I think writing can often be something good because it's like it's very private. Like for men, I think it's also really good for men and women. But I'm saying like for men, it offers a way of tapping into what might be seen as feminine, which is like the actual expression of your emotions, but doing it in a way like you're the fucking most masculine people on the planet were writers. Ernest Hemingway, like we have all these really cool. I mean, James Bond was written by fucking books. You have all this, but when you write, it's very private and it's in your own thing, and so it just can be a tool to express. It's not the end all be all tool, but it's very, very useful.
Yeah, I think it's important that you also mention the term masculinity because like there's definitely a skewed perception of what masculinity is. You know, like everyone's probably just going to be looking at, oh, you got to be this buff ass motherfucker with a lot of money and the cars and the woman. And then when you do actually reach that stage, and you look at it, you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah. There's better, I mean, those things can result in becoming more masculine because in order, like to be masculine is to be a provider and to be masculine is to be responsible.
Yeah.
And those things can come as a result of leaning into your full masculinity. And so it's not anything that it's just not that like to be masculine, you must be rich and you must be jacked. That's not true. To be masculine is someone who looks out for the family that he's with, who provides for the people that he loves in many ways. And I think also is just to be masculine is someone who has values and sticks to them when it is not easy to do so.
True.
Like that's, and you don't have to be jacked to do it. I mean, being jacked definitely helps. Like it definitely, I mean, truly, because like to be jacked, but to be strong, you could better call it than being jacked is like you end up trusting yourself that you can push past mental barriers of lifting weight to then improve your body. And then it's consistent. It takes discipline and all of these things.
Discipline is the key term.
Yeah, discipline is key.
You know, but discipline can come from many different things.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean being...
I mean, this podcast that you're doing is what? Like it's 530 episodes?
Yeah.
That takes discipline. It's very impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. The amount of times where you get this thought is like, is this really worth it? And then you just push past that thought and be like, you know what?
This is really fun.
And because you definitely get those moments where, like, I mean, for example, this. this is definitely a moment in the podcasting history for me that I'm like, this is worth it.
It's very worth it. Yeah. Conversation. Yeah.
You know, like meeting people that I never thought. This is something that keeps getting told to me. Is like the amount of people you're meeting and like
exactly.
You know, when it's virtual, it's harder to kind of perceive it because you're just
doesn't feel as real. This is tangible.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. But there are also some people who find a way to translate it. You know, like we had this guest called Adam Torres, and the conversation with him, like, I'm gonna be honest about this. When I was before going into the podcast, I was like I didn't really feel like I wanted to do it. Then the podcast happened, and his energy like really flushed.
Yeah,
180 it.
Amazing.
And I was like, this is like one of the best episodes we did. And even it translated to the viewer count. It's like it's one of our most watched clips. The just three clips that we posted out did one of the highest view count.
That's amazing. Yeah,
each one. And I was like,
that's the beauty of it. It's always the thing that you don't expect. So you expect. Yeah,
exactly. This is like something that now, because of it's happened multiple times, that you start noticing. Like just when you feel like this is no longer worth it, or you like really feel like you don't want to do something.
Yeah,
it's like there's a sign or something just happens, and you're just like, oh shit, never mind, let's keep going.
Yeah,
it's like
it's the circle to lean in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Man, I'm getting pretty hot, I must say.
The fat is not doing it. It's cutting. What do you want to do? You want to stop? Or?
Yeah. Have we answered all the questions you wanted to ask?
The conversation was good.
Yeah, I think so. Me too. Yeah.
We can cut it now.
Amazing, man.